Jai Sri Krishna. Let's start discussion on very important topic, that is Agile Risk Management for a business analyst. In this video, we will discuss on the risk management, how to manage a risk in the Agile project or the Agile life software development life cycle project. So I am creating also separate video for you, the risk management in the waterfall. So let's discuss it is in the proactively identifying and mitigating risks in agile project. So we will discuss what is an agile project. It is an iterative and iterative way of developing the software. So let's discuss on this very important. Guys, if you're interested to learn more about the business analyst, quant analyst, or the AI ML techniques in the functional way, and the also your interest, in the cloud computing or the quantum computing field, so please like and subscribe my channel. So I'll creating videos on such topics, and these are the very important topic. And if you want to join the IT industry, or if you want to gain more knowledge and higher salary in the IT industry, so these skills which I am creating the video. So let's start discussion on the agile risk management for the business analyst. So let's discuss first what is an agile risk management. So basically, agile risk management is a continuous process, and it is time-bound process. So we know that agile software development life cycle is a continuous. So we like waterfall, requirement gathering, requirement analysis, design, development, coding, testing. It is the sprint where we do this entire thing. And similar way, we use the minimum viable product development concept to develop the product. So that's why the agile risk management is a continuous way process, and that continuously we need to identify the risks, mitigate the risks, and tackle the risks. And it focus on identifying, assessing, and mitigating risks throughout the project life cycle, or the stages of each project life cycle. Unlike the traditional method, it is not the one time event. So if you are using the traditional method like waterfall, there is, at one time you do the requirement gathering, one time you do the requirement analysis, one time you do the design, development, coding, one time you do testing, one time do entire application, and finally you deploy it into the production environment. But not like that way. The agile methodology, it's the small chunk, or the the epics way we develop the software. Okay, so that's the difference, and that's way we manage that entire risks of that project with the continuous way. And why is crucial for the business analyst? If you are working as a business analyst, why it is important? So you know the risk management, and how you tackle, and what techniques you use to avoid the or mitigate the risk. So BA are the intersection of business and the development team, or BA is a bridge or the gap between the business team and development team. So he or she must know that where the project status, or what are the future risks, or what are the outcomes from that project, or what are the business problem we are going to solve with that project. So he will important to manage the risks on that projects, and they are uniquely positioned to the spot risks related to the requirement stakeholder, or the business value, or the business objective, or the business goal, or the in-scope functionality, or the out-scope functionality. So he know to gather the requirement related to the risks, and mitigate the risks, and identify the risks, and tackle the risks like technical risks, operational risks, or the people risks, resource risks. So work on that. And the BA should crucial part to manage the risks, and proactive risk management ensure the team build the right product to avoid the costly rework, and with we use the minimum cost with the maximum benefit product. So that's low risk, high beneficial or profitable product that we build. So that's why the BA is crucial for managing the risk. So let's move on the next slide, that is a key principles of agile risk management. So let's discuss. There is a four key principles that we use in the agile risk management. First one is a team collaboration, continuous process, transparency, and just in time approach. So let's discuss the time collaborations. Team collaboration. Let's discuss the team collaboration. So everyone's the risks, not just a project manager. Everyone take the ability of risks and identify the risks, mitigate the risks, not just a project manager. So there is a to complete the project within a time, to complete the project within a budget. So that one of the technological risks, operational risks. So team will collaborate and to mitigate the risks, and to develop the product that will solve the business problem. And the continuous process, risks are continuous in daily stand-ups, sprint planning, retrospective, or the 5 sprint events. So daily stand-up, sprint planning, sprint review, sprint backlog, product backlog, or prepare the sprint burn down chart, or the product burn down chart. So work on that and identify the risks and mitigate the risks. And the transparency, all risks are visible and tracked. Obtain a team board, so there is, we will track and show at that time whenever the risks happen, and immediately take a course of action to avoid that risk or to mitigate that risk and take action on that risk. And everyone stakeholder that should know that risk, so immediately update on the risk to the high project sponsor or the project manager about that risk. So that's role that the business analyst. And just in time approach, risks are addressed as they become relevant, not at once at the beginning. So whatever the risk is occurs, and continuously update team related to the that risk, and define the strategy how to avoid that risk in the agile risk management project. So that's the role of business analyst. So let's move on the next slide, that is the BA role in risk management. So what are the roles of business analyst in managing the risk? So risk identification, risk analysis and prioritization, and risk response planning. So how to plan the risk response. So there is one of the risk matrix which I am showing here. So likelihood and the impact. So suppose the likelihood of that impact is low, and the impact of that low, so that that is a low consider risk, and we avoid or eliminate such risks. But if likelihood is very high and impact is very high, immediately report, and it is at the critical and very high role. So update every stakeholder related to that risk. So these are the risk matrix. So risk identification, we identify risks related to that project, like a scope, requirement, stakeholder, or the dependencies. What are the dependencies to complete that project or the progress? So it is the scope clear, is subject to frequent changes, or everyone know what we are doing and on which project we are working. So clear the project and understand, clearly write down the document, what are the in scope functionality or out scope functionality. So everyone have the clear goal on the scopes. And then the requirements, are they use and ambiguous? How the requirement, is that requirement use or not doable? It satisfy the invest definition or the smart definition of that requirement. So understand that level of intangible, negotiable, valuable, testable, deployable. So that requirement should be. And the stakeholder, are a key stakeholder unavailable and resistance to the changes, or they are understand the changes? So bridge between the gap between the development team or the business team, to speak their understandable language, explain them their features. And the dependencies, are there external dependencies that could impact on the project, or there any factor that will oppose to success of the project? So identify such factors that are important for the project, so like scope, requirement, and the stakeholder and the dependencies. And then the risk analysis and the prioritization. So to sort the and validate the requirement or the prioritize the risks and work on accordingly. So assess the likelihood and impact of each risk. So how much the chances that risks will occur, and what are the impact of that risk on the projects, and prioritize based on their potential harm to the projects, or how they are opposed to success of the projects, or to deploy that patch to the production environment and work on that point. And the risk response planning, so develop a strategy to avoid, mitigate, transfer, and accept the risks whenever the risks is happen. And BA should have the plan, what when the starting to preparing the business requirement document, it should have the separate section, that is a risk management or the risk avoidance, where he need to add the risk related thing, is what kind of risks related to that project, and how the BA will tackle that risks, and what are the strategy he or she need to follow to tackle, or what the teams or the what are the stakeholder involvement related to that risk. So that the BA role in the risk management. So let's move on the next slide, guys, that is agile risk management process. So what are, it is on the fourth step process, that is agile risk management. So first one is identify, analyze, and prioritize, plan, response, and monitor and control. So first one is identify, brainstorm the potential risks in backlog refinement and sprint planning. So whenever the risk is identified, so you work on the backlog refinement, how to refine the backlog items, product backlog item or the sprint backlog item, how to prioritize your product by high interest and high influence, or to prepare the chart with high urgency and the high importance requirement are the top, and is there the any deprioritize the requirements, it's not necessary, and then accordingly do the sprint planning and short the requirement, and then analyze and prioritize. Use a simple matrix like likelihood, low, medium, high likelihood, and the impact, low, medium, high impact of that requirement, and prioritize that the high important and the high valuable or high impact that's take a very high requirement in the upcoming sprint and work on that, and the highest score are most critical risks or to address and work on that, very important. So give the highest priority requirement will be the highest effort and highest time as compared to the lower priority requirements, and planning and response, mitigate, so reduce the impact or likelihood, break down the complex user story into small or the tasks and work on accordingly. So avoid the and then avoid and change the plan to avoid the risk entity, or to remove the risky features that has low impact or the low success, the part of low success, and consider the high impactful, and the acceptance, acknowledge and monitor their risks without taking the actions, or some risks that we can accept and it's not impact on the project, that's low impact on the project, so accept such the risks and transfer, shift the risks another party, or transfer the risks to other way, or take from risks and take the opportunity, create the risks from the opportunities, so that's transfer. So these are the four stage we need to work on the risks, so mitigation, avoidance and acceptance and transfer the risks. So monitor and control, track risks regular and daily, stand up and sprint retrospective, understand the risks, to take a proper action or the proper course of action on that risk and avoid the risks or mitigate the risks, and update the risks register in the new information emerge, and every stakeholder of that business should know the project will know the risks. Let's move on the next slide, that is a BA tool or technique for the risk management. If you are working as a business analyst in the projects or the quality analyst or the project manager, so this tool you should use to to risk management for all kind of project or the agile project that's also suitable. So first one is you do the SWOT analysis, so it's identify the internal strength and weakness and external factors like opportunity and threats to after to risk. So we will prepare the, I also separate created the video, it is on the part of enterprise analysis. So you need to identify the factors, what are the strength of your organization, what are the weakness of for your project or your organization, what are the opportunities you have in the market, and what are the threats you have in the market. So you do the matrix and accordingly work on that things. And then the second factor is a risk spike solution, a short time box investigation, or explore the technical risks or the operational risks or the management level risks. So spike solution and risk burn down chart, so prepare the product burn down chart, sprint burn down chart, or the risk burn down chart, and visual representation for harm and how team is addressing the risks over a time, how the risks will grow, how the what are the sprint or what are the the requirements we are taking is sprint, how the team will work on that, and how much we will complete it, how much are the still pending. So work on that thing, and then do the risk adjusted backlog, so prioritize the user story, mitigate the highest priority risks and work on that, and to filter out the highest priority risks and lowest priority risks and work on that risk mitigation techniques. And then the user story mapping helps to create the user story mapping helps visualizing the user journey and identify potential gaps in risk assumption. So to do the user stories and step by step what are the process of user story, visualize that and creating and identify the potential gaps and the risk assumptions and work on that thing. So let's move on the next slide, which is the common risks for a BA in agile project. So what are the common risks that the BA might face in the agile project? So first one of the most is a scope creep, and I already created video on the scope creep. If the business team or the development team or the business analyst or the project manager are not able to complete that project within a budget or within a time, so that situation, it is in the situation where the development team or the BA will not complete the project within a budget or within a time. So such situation we called as a scope creep, and it is an uncontrolled change to the project. So it happened because of the team will continuously, business team will continuously give you the requirement or continuously changing the requirement, and budget is low or the resource are unavailable, resource are not working properly. So that's the things, the scope creep will happen. And use the requirement, poorly define the user story leading to misunderstanding, or the BA will prepare the document that are not understand by the development team, or miscommunication between the business team or the development team. So that's use the requirement gaps will happen. And the stakeholder unavailability. So while we are doing the key requirement gathering or performing the key workshops, or to explaining the key features or function to the team, so stakeholder will unavailability, and there is a gap between the understanding, and that will key decision maker are not available for the feedbacks, and that will gap between the teams. And the technical doubts, so poor design or coding that allow slow down for the future development, and it is not the poor, the technology are incomplete to work on that project. So that's also the technical debt, and that's why the the risks will happen. And the dependency delay for external teams and or the third party vendor to sign up and working on the project. So dependencies, while the requirement gathering, some stakeholder are not give the proper requirements, so that's the dependency on that requirement. So that's the delay or the risks for the projects. And lack of business values, the team build a feature that doesn't provide the real value for the business user, or does not able to satisfy the business problem, or not according to the business objective, business goal, or not cover the in-scope functionality. So that's the lack of the business value, and that will be the common risks for the business BA in the agile project. So let's move on the last slide, an important slide, that is a conclusion and the key takeaway from this video. So agile risk management is sheer responsibility, not uh, not a soil tax, and the BAR risk detective play uh, play a crucial, critical role in identifying the risks early. And continuous and proactive risk management lead to more predictable outcome and successful projects. So continuous we will work, and the proactive and risk management lead to more success and outcome of projects. And by interacting with risk management into daily agile ceremonies, team can deliver high quality product and greater business values to the team. And they will work on such, these are the key takeaway and conclusion from this video. So thank you so much guys for attending this video. If you like my videos, please like and subscribe my channel, so that motivate me to create more such videos for you. So once again, thank you so much guys for attending this video.